knowing the suffering, but there is no cutting to the knowing itself. Just like using the knowing to know the suffering. Actually, itself is the suffering itself. That is the center of the suffering within the knowing itself. Therefore, when there is no cutting at the origin, there is no education for the cycle of birth and rebirth. It will end all that education for the Four Noble Truths. Cut through the knowing at the origin itself, at the knowing itself. That is the beginning of all. Then it will be nothing to nothing altogether. There is no such thing as knowing the suffering in order to cut anything, because it's the suffering within the knowing itself which is the cause. The cause of the cycle of birthing and rebirthing is right there at the knowing itself. But there are the attempt to study, to educate, seeing it, knowing it, but there is no cutting in the seeing itself, in the knowing itself. Using the cause to create a cause. The knower is itself the cause. Knower and seer is the cause itself. There is no cutting in itself. Knowing and then trying to let go. This is like you are decorating the bonsai branches. Must knowing first. There is just practicing and education that is the effect. Then claiming that the Buddhas have to know first before being enlightened, before cutting this and that. Why having to know first when knowing is already exist? There is no such a thing as before or after. Knowing is already there, already exists. That which has nothing to do with knowing or not knowing. Being obsessed with before and after. That is overlaying. Knowing is already there. Why having steps before or after? After the enlightenment of the Buddhas, they never teach anyone, only using ending right in a sentence. Never ever use their experience of karma to teach anyone. After the enlightenment, not creating difficulties for the beings like himself, like themselves. Never having to make the beings to refine difficulties through like the Buddhas themselves. Only use one sentence and ending accordingly. Listening, ending is right there accordingly, as it is all the time, wherever they are, where they bless the beings. But the later generations, always there is an obligation having to do like this, like that first. That is the delay. There is no such thing as before or after. You make it up. You make it up by your own desire. make it up to dominate the makeup itself. Listen well how to end while listening, while leading others to go around. They are already unwinding itself, but they still creating something from grasping without thinking. They are already unwinding itself. Samsara is still grasping. Samsara is like this. This is a reflection. This is not creating a conflict here. Samsara is still remaining a lot here. Full on. It's not about practicing the seeing, the knowing, observing, considering, because it becomes samsara in practicing itself. Giving ending is not to practice. Listen. Terminologies that end within themselves, listen to them. That which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging. It's not about practicing. It's not creating samsara further. Use the reminders constantly to cut through samsara automatically. Nothing is all about non-attachment as it is. That which has nothing to do with nothing to not or not nothing. It will have nothing to do with attachment or non-attachment. This is step over beyond mundane or transcendental, shifting towards the essence of the true essence of the great compassion. In all bondage with liberation or no liberation, attachment or non-attachment, all about opinions regarding the bondage with opinions and meanings of liberation or non-liberation, attachment or non-attachment. Use reminders constantly, helping one another. That which has nothing to do with letting go or not letting go, with everything. That which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging. From not grasping for the non-grasping itself, with everything. Use the word everything as well. This will shift into the great compassion, Mahakaruna. It is the conclusion made for samsara. Each reminder, it is the conclusion for samsara towards ending, helping through ending. It is not ending and grasping for ending. That is grasping, overlaying, grasping for the ending. Make a conclusion towards ending. Each reminder, it is for everything. Then there is no grasping that is overlaying. Nothing to do with engaging or disengaging, with everything instantly. Nothing is within involvement or non-involvement right away with everything simultaneously. Nothing is the utmost It's impossible to move further. So listen well. This is the purification to the uttermost, to the topmost. Nothing to do with involvement or non-involvement. If nothing to nothing, it is the topmost of the mind. Is the topmost of the cutting. But here, cutting, also the cutting itself, that which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging. It will not be stuck with just topmost or ending. It is shifting into the great compassion, which is boundless. That which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging. Listen well. Which sentence it is giving ending for samsara or just stuck with just ending. Listen well. Everything is from not grasping for the non-grasping itself is already topmost. Topmost already. It's not delusively grasping for anything, attaching to anything inside or outside. But listen well. This is also purifying the topmost, shifting into the great compassion, that which has nothing to do with grasping or not grasping. Let's go over the bondage of opinions and meanings. Grasping or not grasping, this is the opinion that is remaining in samsara. Let's purify these titi, these opinions right away. This will purify the procession of opinions. The word everything is the basis of the great compassion. The word everything is the basis. And it will open up widely according to such thoughts, because it will open extensively. This is the thought of the great compassion. For the Buddhas, everything is meant for samsara. They are not for the sake of themselves. Buddhas are not for the sake of themselves. Buddhas are meant for samsara. This is the great compassion. Great compassion, Mahakaruna. They are not stuck with enlightenment or nibbana. They are meant for samsara. Enlightenment or nibbana and samsara is one. That's Buddhas themselves. They don't separate enlightenment from samsara. They still preside over to purify for samsara at all times. This is another task for those who form up body-mind in this grossness, have to do the task differently. Those who are attached to knowing, is impossible to go beyond knowing. It's impossible to know that which is beyond knowledge, because they are stuck and attached to knowing. In order to be in accordance with all about the unknowable from the Buddhas, to not be bound by knowing or not knowing, having to be in accordance with this very well. Like knowing or not knowing has no meaning at all. That which has nothing within involvement or non-involvement, automatically it will be in accordance with the essence of that which has nothing to do with knowing or not knowing. The more one want to know, they just searching for make up a room for meditation, kamasthana, creating a room for meditation, going for a cave, going for seclusion.